And this is kind of my point, is that there's a lot of companies in comics that make my life harder. Marvel and DC will frequently do things and announce things that make my job and my life more difficult. Bad Idea is one of the only companies that makes my life worse.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting out waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
Just the level of indignation in your voice was amazing.
I was really mad.
And I wish we'd caught that.
It was so mad that I was so happy reading Gwenpool, and then so mad because of trying to read DC PDFs on their idiotic box site, that I had to go back to read Gwenpool just to level out again. So I wouldn't just be mad for the rest of the night.
You needed a cool down.
I did. I needed something to keep my equilibrium back, and by God, it's the first 6 issues of Gwenpool, which are so good.
Well, this is the first official Contest of Challengers recording in 2022, and as it's a new year, and as, gentlemen of some stature,
I am tall, that's true.
we decided that anybody can record a podcast in a studio. And over the past, decade plus of doing this, you've heard about our upgrades, you've heard about our multi-million-dollar studio. Well, no more. We have moved out of a studio and into the brand new Contest of Challengers Studiotorium.
That's true, yes. I didn't want to spoil the surprise. We didn't even hint at it, which is cool.
Right. Well,
because we didn't want people guessing,
Yeah, and also, we've taken literally every set the store has made of profit and put it into the Studiotorium.
Yeah, obviously, when you think about Challengers, the most important component is the podcast. And we felt it was time to really give that its due.
And more than that, it's our comfort during doing the podcast.
Yes.
So all of these upgrades, none of them are the gear or the equipment.
No.
It's all the surrounding.
Yeah.
It's not a studio, it's a studiotorium.
Yeah.
There's a place where people can watch. Mm-hmm. There's an exercise room. There's a kitchen. There's always a kitchen. There's a game room.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing was, obviously, we sit down and we do this, and you want to have a lot of comfort and support. So... Obviously, you want the $25,000 chair for each of us. But the thing is, you don't want to repeat yourself with a podcast. You want something brand new each week.
Yeah.
So it was important that we have $25,000 chairs for each of us, newly constructed each week. When we finished recording this episode of the podcast, the chairs we're sitting in, destroyed. The ashes scattered in the sea so that no one can ever get to them again.
Yeah, it's important that we never even see these chairs again.
No. I don't want them to exist in the world after this podcast recording.
But also, it's important that these chairs are soft and comfortable. Yeah. So we pay to have them broken in as they're made.
Yeah. The week between one podcast recording and the next is, a group of highly paid artisans sitting in highly expensive artisanal chairs.
Well, I mean...
different artisans. I don't want to make it sound like the person who built the chair sits in it. That's ridiculous.
Oh, God, no.
Ridiculous. That's the sort of thing DC would do when deciding how to upload preview PDFs.
Yeah,
stupid.
Exactly.
It's just stupid.
And these chairs are thoroughly wrapped, so they're not really touching the surface of the chairs at all.
No, oh God. I would have them destroy it.
If they do come in contact with the chair, either the chair is destroyed or they are. By their hand, we're not advocating murder.
Yeah, to be clear, we do a lot of outsourcing, so whatever the chair people decide to do to rectify things, I don't need to know about it.
We don't have to know.
I don't micromanage.
It's fine.
They don't tell me how to spend $25,000 per person a week on chairs. I don't tell them how to deal with the chairs. I don't know.
And you're thinking, why don't you donate the chairs when you're done? Maybe some poor orphans could need a chair to sit in rather than sit in the dirt. A chair this good would ruin them. If they go from the dirt to this chair, they wouldn't know what to do. They'd be in shock. It's like that Jack Kirby issue of Captain America from the the 80s or 70s. When was I a child? I don't know. Where those two starving prisoners were given a feast, and they ate so much they died.
Yeah.
We don't want that on our conscience.
Yeah, and I mean, kids know that Jack Kirby issue backwards and forwards, so they'd immediately get what's going on.
Right.
And it would just torture them. I don't want to do that. I care about children. I care about poor people.
You know what I learned?
What's that, Patrick?
That the garage door openers that live in the car in the underground parking structure of the Studiotorium,
Yes.
in the
Far
deep,
beneath the earth, warmed by the Earth's core.
that's just it. They're not in the deep freeze of Chicago.
Oh, yeah?
They don't work.
Oh, no.
You have to use.
Had to dig more sub-basements.
You have to use the portable opener.
Really?
Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you drive yourself to work? Yeah, I like driving.
Man
okay?
of people.
But I still have 2 full security details follow me.
Sure.
They're just not in my car.
No.
I don't want that.
Of course not.
I want the the street level
The privacy
of going to
of your isolated drive to get your headspace right. You know?
yeah. I don't want them in the car.
No, God.
But yeah, so they exist.
It's true.
Just not going to have to, they're not in my car. So I go into the garage.
Yeah.
I open it by myself.
Sure.
They're there.
Man of people.
They are there, making
Salt
sure
of the
nothing
earth.
happens. But yeah, the openers in the morning are too cold.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're in the warmth of
Well, to be fair, Chicago
garage.
itself is far too cold right now. It's far below zero outside. It's not pleasant.
But even getting to the store, it's like you will not open the
Oh, gosh.
door.
Gosh.
But don't worry, I always have a spare.
Nice.
It works that way. So it's a brand new year. It's a brand new Studiotorium.
It's true.
It is the exact same old podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We've made no changes to the format, to the structure. Again, all that money was spent on our comfort for the hour a week that we're here.
Yeah. Which I'm trying to work down slowly but surely over the year to less than an hour.
Sure. Our apartment isn't even
Knock away like
as
30
good
seconds
as
an
the
episode,
Studiotorium.
something like that. You don't
Something.
notice it, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, why is it a half-hour show now?
Where's Hal? Where's Hal? He's is that in the game room? That's where he is. Of course. It makes sense that way. So I got in a Simon & Schuster order today.
Okay, how'd that go?
Fine.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing I don't like, and this has nothing to do with anything other than Simon & Schuster.
Okay.
It was 3 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
It was 9 different order POs.
Yep.
How does that happen?
It's very weird.
9 separate orders, and I was going to say I acknowledge the fact that you may place multiple S&S orders on one night, but you don't.
I do not.
It's usually just one order.
Yep. For Simon & Schuster, it's 1 a week.
Yeah. 9
A lot of back orders coming in, though.
SKUs is ridiculous.
It's really weird.
3 boxes, 9 orders.
Yep.
Everything was there. Nothing was damaged. It was great.
That's awesome.
It's just like, come on. 9 SKUs.
Yeah,
Are you kidding?
That's not cool.
But then it's like, oh, look, we got multiple copies of Goodnight Pun Pun 3 in.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but we still need 1.
Uh-huh. That's going to take a longer while to come in.
I know.
Yeah.
9 orders.
9 orders. It's a lot.
And the fun part is because I didn't exactly remember, so I'm watching the video,
Yeah.
but it plays through the store speakers because it's on my phone.
It does, sure.
And I got to crank it really loud to hear it as well.
Yeah.
But I figured out how to jump back easy enough
Yeah.
to where it was. So yeah, that was all fine.
That's cool.
It's amazing to me how, I mean, obviously today was bitter freezing cold.
It was, yeah.
With the wind chill, I believe it was minus 86.
That sounds accurate.
I didn't look it up, but I'm guessing that's what it
I
was.
was outside for about 20 seconds to get my food, and it was too cold.
It didn't just flash freeze on the way from the
No.
car to the door. So we did shit business today.
Yeah.
I mean, real bad business.
Yep.
But it was still busy and frustrating.
Of course.
And there's still so many little things.
So many little things.
And it's just the amount of stuff.
Yep.
Man. But, it was, as I told Gina, I'm like, it's a good work today. We got good tasks done.
Yeah,
We got good chores done.
That's awesome.
And it's all stuff that no one will notice, but that's not the point.
No.
But UPS comes later in the day. It's like, man. And it's funny because Gina's checking boxes, emptying boxes, opening boxes.
Sure.
And then she goes around to the front tabletop and looks and goes, "Oh, there's a box on the floor still."
Oh, man.
Like, oh, everything was loaded onto the counter, but that one.
Yep.
You'll need to check on one Ten of Swords graphic novel to see if you think it's damaged.
Sure.
I gave it a pass, but Gina gave it a...
I might just take it for myself then. I'm on order for that.
Okay. It's got a little bit of a weird crease in the very thick spine.
Oh, yeah.
It's nothing.
Yeah, that might
It's
just be the
nothing.
one I take.
That's fine.
Because I gave up my hardcover for somebody who wanted to buy it back when it first came out, and then it immediately and preemptively sold out from Marvel.
Yeah.
At every distributor, so I had to wait about a year to get a softcover.
Sure.
Because David Gabriel's like, yeah, we're not going to reprint that. No need.
You waited so long that Jonathan
Year.
Hickman doesn't even write X-Men
A
anymore.
year later.
It's over. He's done.
Uh-huh.
Boy, I feel like there's a lot of things that I was ready to talk about on this week's episode of Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast. But instead, I got distracted and talked to Andrew.
Oh, sorry.
All right, it's a new year, and we're trying to do a better job of letting you, dear listener, be familiar with everybody who works at the store, because if you just come in on, say, Tuesdays every week, you're only going to see the same Tuesday people. And it's been over a year, I think, since Andrew has been on the podcast. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to check in with Andrew. Hey, Andrew.
Hi, Patrick.
Andrew, it's a brand new year. How's it going?
It's going pretty well.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. And that gag will never get old. So, Dal,
Patrick.
I know you said you didn't want to talk about Managed Comics every single week,
True.
but we did promise people that this week would be the week we go through the customer-facing end of it.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things I was hoping we could do, since you now have your iPad
I do.
and plenty of notes,
I do.
if it's maybe worth pulling up that email you sent to customers and going over that,
Oh,
or
gosh.
if you'd rather just go over the customer experience. Like, for example, when we were with Mike yesterday, you got to witness firsthand someone trying to create an account.
Yeah, and it's really funny because basically that was yesterday, and then today was getting an email from Brian at Managed Comics who's like, yeah, we figured it out. Well, like, here's the process. And it's like, cool, that's exactly what we figured out with Mike yesterday. But I'm glad to get the confirmation that that's how we're supposed to do
Sure,
it.
yeah.
Because oftentimes, like, we have a solution, and then we find out later, like, that's not the best solution, or that's causing other problems. Let me
Also,
see if I can find the email.
there was, and I didn't notice this till way past the end of the day, as I was closing everything down, when I went to go clear out my spam folder, there was a lengthy email from a club member.
There was. That'll be
spam.
That'll be a little bit later tonight.
Okay.
Ba-ba.
While you're pulling that up, let me tell you this story.
Please.
Someone comes in with 2 action figures that were just bought on Monday that they wanted to exchange.
Okay.
And they were, it was basically Gamer Cap and Tony Stark AI Iron Man. And they were getting intern Quicksilver and then a gift card for the difference.
Okay.
They came in yesterday, but were told, we don't know how to do this. Can you come back?
Okay.
So they came back today. I'm like, well, I don't know how to do this, but all I'm going to do is I rang up the 2 figures to see what the price was with tax, rang up Quicksilver to see if he was with tax, subtracted Quicksilver from those 2,
Right.
took that $22 difference, threw it on a gift card,
Sure.
then went back in the system and changed the quantities, adding the 2 figures back in, taking Quicksilver out.
Sure.
So it's done, but there was no specific, how do we do a return through...
So was the initial purchase done through Shopify POS?
It had to be because it was Monday.
Okay. Yeah.
It was the new receipt.
There's. I don't know if I can bring it up on here. Maybe.
This is a thing we're all going to learn at the same time.
Yeah.
You too, listener. This is how you do return.
Hello, listener. Yeah, I'm gonna go to.
Because there's no barcode on the receipts.
Well, yeah, but
Like-
the receipt will tell you what the order number is.
Okay. And
So
then we're going to go into...
well, I just went into orders.
Okay.
Just along the side there. There's orders. And then
Are these done chronologically?
Yeah. So the most recent one is there at the top, and
Okay.
if it's a subscriber and it was done under their account, it'll have their name on it.
By the way, that's probably that person's highest total.
I believe it. well, Baroness action figure. So yeah, I mean, it really would just be a thing of like, you can. I don't know if when you say search for products, I don't know if that's gonna like what's the thing they bought, like a pop vinyl.
No, it was Marvel Legends, Iron Man.
Okay, so you can search for products they bought.
Okay.
Marvel Legends Iron Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say stop typing pop.
Let's try Iron Man. Well, it doesn't come up. Marvel Legends maybe.
Yeah, maybe because it's got to be sometimes the search field needs to be the full
Sure.
Marvel Legends Iron Man.
Okay, so this is, I guess, everyone who's bought a Marvel Legends recently.
Okay, so it would have been January 3rd.
Okay, Monday. Here we go.
Okay. And you can pull that up. Yeah, that's exactly right. That was it.
Yeah, I guess Iron Man didn't come up because it was later in there. So basically what you do here is, once you brought that order up, and you can search by the order number or I guess items within it,
Okay.
then go to return.
Okay.
You can pick individual items.
Oh, man. So when you do that, so you're saying you're putting by doing the +1, you're putting all those back into inventory,
Well,
including the bag tags.
here's the thing. We're going to do next. And
Okay.
usually there's a thing where you can choose not to restock them, but, and I don't know if that's going to do it. Oh, yeah, okay. So you can choose not to restock at that location by hitting the item. See how it says underneath it, restock?
Yeah. Yep.
If you hit the item, you can choose not to restock it, whatever. You can... So it says refund balance to gift card, but I think it's only going to work if you use Shopify gift cards. I don't know if that's going to work
Fair.
to do it otherwise. So you can also choose the amount to refund. I think it's only going to refund it to what you initially used as the
Fair.
transaction.
Fair.
type.
So, like, if they paid with a credit card, would it?
You would still have to go into Square and do it because Square
Because it doesn't have that. Sure.
Right.
But can I, in the middle of that transaction, also then add the Quicksilver figure into it to get the correct balance?
I don't think so, because this isn't creating a transaction. This is just returning stuff. But what you can do is, I think, exchange,
Ooh.
where you pick individual items, and then you select new items that you want to exchange them for,
Okay.
whatever's in the system. Like, let's say they wanted this Thor by Donny Cates Volume 3 that just came up. There we go. And then it'll say, okay, here's,
Okay.
this is the amount, and then this is the difference. So if they owe more, you probably have to pay more. If they don't owe more, you hit the
Get a
refund
refund.
button. and you're
Got
good.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
That's great, and it's easy, and I'm there's a good chance I may not even forget it.
Yeah, like, that's the thing about Shopify POS is that a lot of this stuff is, if you
Fairly
investigate
intuitive.
it, there are these options in there. It just maybe, it's not the way we did it before, but it's honestly
Sure.
a little bit more flexible because it has, like, you don't have to hack together a solution. There are specific things. There's a thing that says refund. There's a thing that says exchange. There's, you can print out a receipt again. You can see what's in that transaction. You can do all that stuff. So, yeah. There's your answer.
Real quick, here's my favorite phone call of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Challengers. Yeah. What time you open until today? Until 5. Okay, great. Yeah. Oh, also, do you have a Thor 20? No. All the speculators snapped that one up
Yeah.
real quick.
Definitely not.
Oh, ha ha ha. Okay, thanks.
We aren't still sitting on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That was a book that when I don't really read Thor anymore. I read the first issue of the Donny Cates run. It just wasn't for me. But occasionally I'll just flip to the back just to see, like, what's going on in this book. And I saw that there was a brand new character, sort of a brand new character. And it was in that sort of sweet spot of, it's a new character, but it's like a new character based on a really old concept.
It's like Elektra as Daredevil.
Yeah, or like, God, I'm trying to think of like a different, yeah, like that, but there's other stuff Cates has done, and it's really in that sweet spot of like, oh, everyone's going to want this because it's like X meets Y for the first time ever. So, yup, this thing's going to be super hot. And sure enough, like the next day, like speculators, because someone somewhere had gotten their hands on a copy in advance of it coming out, like they always do. And speculators were already like salivating about it. And sure enough, yeah, we sold out super fast of Thor 20. Which will probably go back to press like 5 times, and that character will be on the cover of the second and third prints.
The thing that I find the most telling about this current Thor run, and we're not going to analyze it or anything, is that you and I have a good friend who is the biggest Thor fan anyone's ever known.
Yes.
And he
and
hates-
ever will known.
And he hates it.
Yeah, it's very strange to me, and it's the same way that like we've talked about the weird Donny Cates phenomenon at Marvel, about how he'll occasionally do a stunt like this, and people will lose their minds. Like the whole like collector market will absolutely focus in with laser-like intensity on one random issue of a Thor run, and like, but then the next issue, no one cares.
Nope.
And like his creator-owned stuff, no one cares. But there will be like a couple times a year, you know, it could be an issue of Thor, an issue of Venom, or now an issue of Hulk, that will just come out of nowhere, become like a $60 book overnight, go back to press 5 times, and have zero impact on the monthly sales of that book going forward.
There's something that he's writing right now, an independent book, that I forgot he was writing. And when I saw his name, and I'm like, wait, this is Donny Cates? Nobody cares about this book.
Uh-huh.
And it's not Redneck, because we've been 2 club members only for Redneck for the last...
Baby Teeth?
No, because Baby Teeth got down to 1 club member.
Yeah.
God, what was it? Not crossover. Something, I don't remember. I honestly don't remember, but it was so like, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, very strange how Donny Cates can be this huge name at Marvel, but it's only oriented around these like spikes in specific titles. It's not really the whole run. It's just like he will occasionally do that, like, oh, a Ghost Rider who's a Punisher, and
Yeah.
people, that's it. Like it becomes a huge thing.
Yeah, that's exactly the same kind of thing that just happened. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like that's kind of his hallmark. And if I were him, I would absolutely go back to it, because it's kind of the thing that works. It's the thing that he's most known for, and it's the thing that makes him a valuable writer for Marvel, but in kind of this hyper-specific way, where, again, it's like one book out of, like, one issue for Thor will just suddenly sell, you know, across 5 covers, you know, 180,000 copies, and then the next one will just sell, like...
Because it has this black gas cloud.
Right, but then the next one will sell, like, 40,000 copies. And the one after that will sell 40,000 copies. And it's like, it never activates new readers. It just causes speculators to just hoover up copies. And it's like, it's such a strange phenomenon for me. And even a couple years on, it's still unbelievably bizarre. There was that one other Thor one, where it was, the Black Winter?
Okay.
Was, I think, one of the new villains or whatever, and people lost their minds. And then there was that one like double page spread of like Thanos, but he's got a hammer encrusted with Infinity Stones, and that became like the super hot Thor issue. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, here's the third one, but that's over like 20 issues, and the rest of
The
them.
Thanos thing was just like a glimpse of a possible future.
Yeah, it's super weird, but people got hyper focused on it. Yeah, I'll never forget, like, issue 6, I think, of Thor was like the Black Winter one, and we just sold out like crazy and literally could not keep it in stock across reprints. And then like 7 and 8, I got a box of them in the back. Like, we're like, oh, people read Thor now. They do not read Thor now.
Nope.
They don't care about 7 and 8. And then we got our numbers right again for like 9, 10, 11, and so on. Yeah, very weird.
Oh man, I just remembered how I wanted to start this podcast.
Okay.
After
It's never too late.
After the Studiotorium.
Uh-huh.
It always takes me a minute to remember that word, because we invented the word to be
It's
able
true.
to invent our space.
Yeah. Well, it was really hard to explain to a lot of the contractors what we wanted,
Yeah.
without really having a phrase for it.
Yeah.
Once we came up with Studiotorium, they were like, got it.
Yeah.
Like, suddenly we were on the same page.
There was one of them that actually thought even bigger than we were. Like, you know what? We like what you're doing, but we're not looking to buy Soldier Field right now, you know?
Not now, no.
Let's just wait.
Not with the current tenants.
Yeah,
Jesus.
for sure.
Let's get the stink out of there first.
I was literally going to say that exact phrase. So we got an email this week from Bad Idea, just like every other Bad Idea retailer got the exact same email.
Yep.
And the email said, "We're fired.
Yep.
All Bad Idea stores are fired." And to that we say, thank you.
Can't fire me, I quit. Yeah, no, it's...
No, just thank you.
Thank you.
And then they sent us an email about signing up to become a new Bad Idea retailer should they ever resurface. And to that we say,
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Yeah, I looked at it briefly just to see if I could find out if the terms of sale were the same as they had for the previous Bad Idea retailers, if it was the same restrictions and obligations. But, like, the Google sign-up sheet, you would need to press a button to get to that point. And I'm like, I don't want to even start this process.
Yeah,
I don't want to make them think for a second.
I did the same.
I was interested.
And you had to do you had to jump through all these steps just to get to it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that either.
Yeah, I mean, not to skip ahead, but we had posted our top-selling comics for the year on our website for 2021. ENIAC number 1 was our third best-selling comic for the year. ENIAC 2 was our number 11. Tankers number 1 was our 13, and so on. So when you look at this, it definitely seems like Bad Idea was like a valuable thing for us. But two things. First, the fact that we had to order the same amount for every issue in the run and there's a bunch of dumb stuff they said in the beginning where it's like, oh, but when it gets to the second arc, you can change your numbers. Nothing ever got to a second arc.
Nope.
Whatever you ordered for the first issue of literally any Bad Idea book was what you ordered for every single one in the series, no matter what. Because of that, I want to say, if we made any money on Bad Idea over the entire year, it is minimal. It is probably less than we made off of 1 week's worth of either Marvel or DC.
It is all tied up in unsold copies of the lot.
I got boxes in the back room and a shelf with multiple levels on it full of Tankers number 4 or whatever, like the last issue of Tankers and the last issue of ENIAC and the last issue of The Lot and the last issue of the most recent issues of Monster Kill Squad and on, because like if you need 100 copies for issue 1, you will maybe sell out, and we sold out on ENIAC. We had to do their not first print edition, which they apparently didn't need to do for anything else, which probably says, every other Bad Idea retailer was sitting on copies.
They did a Whalesville second print.
Okay.
We never ordered it.
Okay. But if you sell 100 copies of issue 1, you are not going to sell 100 copies of issue 4. You're going to sell, like, based on what we were seeing, we sold like 183 copies of ENIAC number 1 across both the first print and not first print editions. Which ENIAC number 1 was one where we didn't even get our full allocation of issue 1.
Yeah.
We ordered and they allocated, and we got the rest in not first prints. And then we sold and sold and sold. It was great. It made us think like, man, this Bad Idea thing is going to work. And then you get to issue 4 of ENIAC, and it's like, cool. I have at least 40 copies of that book sitting around. And then I have about the same for like issue 3, and I have probably 20 copies of issue 2 or whatever.
If you look at Odin's Eye, which is their last book, their weekly book, they're only limited to initial order, like to the final 5 orders.
Yeah.
And our final 5 orders were
at the time just to cover subscriptions.
Yeah. So we literally wound up having like 11 extra copies for the shelf.
Because by the time between when we placed our orders and when they came in, we lost that many Bad Idea subscribers, which, as a real quick digression, was a thing that we saw a lot over the year. And one of the other problems with Bad Idea, which is that we would have these people sign up for subscriptions just for Bad Idea books. They'd never get anything else from us because, here's the spoiler, they still kept shopping at their regular stores.
Yep.
So they got all their regular books there, and they would come to us just for Bad Idea because their regular store didn't have it. And then over the year, they would just stop coming in, and we would get stuck with copies. We would have pre-orders that were just never picked up because that person would just get tired of it. Like, they got what they needed out of Bad Idea, and they were gone.
So, Odin's Eye, where we wouldn't have ordered we were ordering significantly less of the books as they were being announced. But
like Pirate Queen was getting to the point where we were finally getting our numbers more accurate. We were getting to be fine with selling out early of issue 1, so we weren't stuck with a ton of issue 3s, which is kind of the opposite way that we like to do business.
Sure. But then we weren't allowed to even order extras of Odin's Eye.
No.
And it doesn't matter. We still have them on the shelf.
You still got them.
With only 11 copies making it to the shelf,
I think we might be out of issue 1, which is, again,
1,
fairly standard for Bad Idea.
But not 2 or 3.
Yeah, 1 for almost anything for Bad Idea will sell out.
By the way, I think either issue 2 or issue 3 had one of the best covers of a comic I've ever seen.
Sure.
It was such a great cover.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole problem with the Bad Idea stuff, is that the financials never worked out for us. The whole idea of you have to order the same amount across the board is antithetical to how the industry works. Like, we need things like FOCs so that when we see what sales are in issue 1, we can figure out what sales are going to be on issue 2. And especially once we see what sales on issue 2 are, that lets us get our numbers right for 3, 4, and 5. There's always going to be a ton of people who sample in issue 1 who don't come in for 2, 3, 4, and 5. Almost every retailer on the planet, when they order issue 2 of a series, cut it by a certain amount. And Bad Idea is like, no, you have to order the same amount all the way through. Which, at the time, we're like, I guess they know something we don't. And yeah, the thing they know that we don't is that we're idiots.
Is that
and we can be tricked into anything.
Yep.
We can be tricked into a scam that makes Bad Idea a ton of money and keeps us from being able to be profitable on any book that we carry. Like, every single Bad Idea book. ENIAC 1 was the one where we probably came the closest to making money on it. But then, again, I got stacks of Monster Kill Squad and stacks of The Lot. And it's all stuff where it's like, but I don't have a lot of issue 1s. If I could have ordered what I needed for issue 1 and then fixed my numbers correctly for 2, 3, and 4, that would have been profitable and I would have enjoyed it. Everything about the Bad Idea, like, ordering stuff, it's a company that we thought was going to be like, oh, they're putting comics first, man. They want to make this, the experience of reading comics, great. And at the end of the whole experiment, I'm like, why didn't they just do NFTs? Like, they made the system so complicated and so skewed financially in their favor that it's like, I was just a sucker for this. I thought they believed in comics. They didn't, and I paid the price. I don't want to talk a lot about Bad Idea because doing it makes me angry.
Ever again.
And this is kind of my point, is that there's a lot of companies in comics that make my life harder. Marvel and DC will frequently do things and announce things that make my job and my life more difficult. Bad Idea is one of the only companies that makes my life worse. Like, actively worse. Worse for having dealt with them as a retailer. And, yeah, to their offer to become a part of whatever Bad Idea evolves into, the Challenger's answer is no thank you.
So, if we were to have reapplied, we'd have to follow the same rules.
Assuming that's the same rules.
But we're fired.
Yeah.
So,
according to them, even though we're fired, we're still, like, basically, it's the WWE version of being fired where you're still under contract. So you still have to have the point of purchase display, and you still got to limit people, and you still got to not mark stuff up or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I in my brain, I was already thinking of ways of, like, let me read over the language in our initial terms of sale agreement to see what our wiggle room is. But then it's like, I don't care.
Well, here's what our wiggle
Honestly,
here's what our wiggle room is, and like, I'm not suggesting anything, but what are they going to do?
Right. We're just spitballing.
We're already fired.
Yeah, I mean, there was a thing where I'm thinking about where it's like, all right, what if we did a thing where, like, basically a system where we're not selling you more Bad Idea books. We're selling you, like, basically, the ability to go into, like, a storage room. And I hope you don't steal anything from that storage room, because I'd be really upset about that. And then it's plausible deniability. But honestly, do you know what I just want to do with the Bad Idea books when the whole thing is said and done?
Bonfire?
Throw them in the garbage. I don't even want to think about it. It was an experiment for us and a scam for them, and we got taken for a ride, and we learned a lesson, and we learned who not to work with in the future, and that's fine. And just throw it away and get it out of my life. Let it not be a part of my emotional state going forward, and that's cool.
I will admit that you've thought so much further ahead on this than me. All I was going to say was, hey, we can take that frame sign down and have one extra shelf to spread all that junk out with.
Yeah. No, I honestly don't even care. Like, and I don't think anyone else would care. Like, who cares at this point? We've had copies of, like, multiple issues, almost everything Bad Idea's ever produced on our website, and no one cares anymore. The days of, like, you know, coming in Sunday morning and people are a bunch of orders for, like, ENIAC number 1 or number 2, that's like a year in the past. No one cares anymore. Yeah, it's all done. Like, the interest is gone.
So I don't suppose you looked into their Invisible comic?
I looked at the announcement, and again, it's just... I don't.
Right, but did you know what they were selling it for?
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more garbage. I don't care. I literally don't want to carry anything anyone in conjunction with that company
But did you
does
see
ever again.
that the range of graded books went from a 0.5 up to like a 10?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, great. Some quote unquote fans going to get ripped off. Cool. Yeah, the whole thing was so frustrating, and I felt bad for anybody who actually cared about like the content they were producing, because they made the hoops to get it so difficult to jump through that, again, it's just it's like consumer hostile in a way that was, if I'd known they were going to do this when they announced their company, I would have steered so far away from them. Like the idea of, oh, we did these extra books. Well, if you don't have these stickers or whatever, you can't redeem it. You can't, if you didn't get a button from your store, you can't get this other comic book. Like, they've made it all so scarce that it's like, this only helps Bad Idea. It doesn't help the readers. It doesn't help the retailers. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the creators. It's like that Wu-Tang album where it's like, oh, cool, you made it, and you can sell it to one guy for like $3 million, and he's a colossal asshole, and then eventually gets arrested, and then it gets re-auctioned off to somebody else. And now, great, 2 people on the planet outside of the Wu-Tang Clan have ever heard this album. Like, what is the point of this?
I can do that with a Divorce Gun album, and it wouldn't, just by releasing it normally.
There you go. Yeah, it makes me angry, and it's actively made my life worse over the last 7 months or whatever. When did it actually start rolling out? Was it like...
well over a year ago? May?
Yeah. Was it
May of last year?
May of 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, 18 months or whatever.
We had our interview phone call when I was at Blue.
Yeah, for sure. Both stores were going to carry it.
2 years ago.
Yeah. No, I mean...
I remember, asking them, saying, hey, on your map of stores, can you put both our locations? We have 2. They're like, no, it's 1 per store.
Yep.
I'm like, but here's 5 other stores that have multiple locations listed. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's the rules, that's the rules. But
my favorite part of the entire thing was that basically we ordered a certain amount of the first arc of ENIAC based on, okay, well, nobody else in Chicago is going to have this, so we got to make sure that we can account for. Again, like, this wasn't a thing where we were being greedy about, like, we got to wring every last dollar out of this. It was more like, okay, well, there's a ton of people who are going to come in looking for this book, this new Matt Kent, Doug Braithwaite book.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure they can read it. I'm excited about this book and these creators. And then before the first issue came out, we found out, oh no, other stores in Chicago,
including the closest store to us.
The closest store to us, are also going to carry it. And it's like, then now I'm stuck with these numbers.
Yep.
And it's all based on a kind of exclusivity, but not exclusivity so much as like, no one out, like, where else are people going to be able to buy this thing if they want to read it? And now it's like 2 train stops away. Okay, cool. That would have changed my numbers drastically. So, yeah. Oh, my God.
And
any store that passed on being a Bad Idea store was the smart one.
When they first announced, it's only 50 stores, we were one of the first 50. Yeah. And then it was 100. And then it was 200. Mm-hmm. And Joe Field points out that realistically, there's probably only 300 stores that would have carried them if they were in previews.
And, I get that element of it. Like, that was a thing that we probably discussed way back when it first came out, was the thing of, if they had just gone with Diamond, no one would have cared about these books. I mean, I don't want to say no one. There were fans of these executives and their choices when Valiant was where they were housed at. And a lot of people who were initially interested in Bad Idea, because it was like, oh, the same creators and a lot of the same people who'd spearheaded the return of Valiant are doing this new company. And so, I mean, there's definitely people who would have been interested. But yeah, I mean, it's the thing where if this was just a thing you get through Diamond, we would have ordered, 20 or 30 copies of ENIAC #1. But because it was Bad Idea, we were going for 100 copies. We didn't get 100 of the first print because they didn't have enough copies because of the pandemic. But yeah, it helped them drastically. Everything about this helps them a ton. It's made every bad idea retailer's life more difficult. The stupid hero trade thing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's a million things. We could make this an entire episode where we rehashed everything about bad idea that again made my life worse. But it's in the past. We got fired.
Okay. So
Okay,
the user face. Man, it's so weird because every time you raise your iPad above the level of my phone, I see a flash of white, and it makes me think an email's coming through, and I keep thinking I have to swat it away, but it's a different device. So we're going to go through the, let's see, 39, 44, consumer-facing side of Manage Comics and what it takes to set up an account and how you use it.
Yeah. I lost the email, so I got to go back on.
Oh, sorry.
Basically, in the process, it went away.
Okay.
I got to scroll back down and find it.
Sure. So we're 2 weeks into using Manage Comics, and it's getting, we're getting more used to it. Okay, you found it. I was just stalling.
Yeah. This is an email that I sent out New Year's Day to all of our subscribers to let them know that the week we had spent...
Was all quiet on New Year's Day?
I don't know what that is.
I was just asking a question.
What is it again?
Was all quiet?
I don't know what that means.
All is quiet on New Year's Day. It's a U2 song.
Okay, great. Yeah, we spent about a week trying to get Manage Comics up and running, and we had only thought we were going to have to spend a few hours. But eventually we were at a point where we felt like it was stable enough.
Now, see, you know you're just hurting feelings right now.
He knows. We, by Saturday, the New Year's Day, we were ready to basically tell people about it in a more structured and informative way instead of just, it's up, because we had been able to play around with it for a little bit, and we didn't really want to do a ton of explanations when things were kind of not in a settled state. Or, again, frankly, when we were still very new to the system and could not really explain a lot of things or answer questions. So we sent out an email that kind of went over the major elements of Manage Comics. Currently, how you get to Manage Comics, and I'm going to change some of this stuff around on Sunday so it's easier to get at from challengerscomics.com.
Okay.
Is to go to our website, challengerscomics.com, click on Shop Online. That takes you to our online storefront. From there, you're going to click the menu button, and there's going to be a thing that says subscriptions. You go to that. That's the Manage Comics landing page for Challengers. All of the Manage Comics stuff is looped into our Shopify storefront. Soon, not immediately soon, but soonish, we'll be basically taking the Shopify storefront and making that our main website. When you go to challengerscomics.com, you'll be going to our Shopify storefront. That'll have postings for the podcast. That'll have the new week lists. That'll have news items. That'll have event listings. That'll have all of our online content as far as our storefront and being able to shop online. And that'll also have subscriptions. So that'll all...
It'll also have this podcast.
It will. Again, it'll have all that stuff. Everything that's currently on the challengerscomics.com website, but also with all of the Shopify stuff and all of the Managed Comics stuff. It'll all be in one place, but that is going to happen soon, but there's other stuff that has to happen first. We have way more work ahead of us on certain things than we thought we were going to have. So we'll do it. I got so much on my plate. Like writing emails, like I wrote this email.
Like a giant plate of honey butter fried chicken.
It was so good for lunch. Oh my God. So good. The only problem was the butter was a little chilled still. I needed it to be a little softer.
Spread, sure.
Yeah, but it was so good. Oh my God. For literally hours afterwards, I was just randomly saying to myself, God, honey butter fried chicken, so good. So good.
Perpetual thank you to Chris Olsen for introducing that in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone's not been there, think of really good fried chicken and then put really good honey butter on it. Oh, it's so good.
One random pay-per-view years ago.
I don't have it as often as I want, but I have it more often than I should. Anyway, so there's an email, and every subscriber should have gotten it. Here's the
This
trick.
episode is sponsored by Honey.
Oh my God,
if
I wish.
It was, yeah.
Oh, please and thank you. There'll be another email that's going to get sent out for me and you, Patrick, tomorrow. But for anyone listening to this, either if you're a patron today, if you're not a patron, yesterday, where I'm going to point out something that I did.
Wait, so I have to do that thing you told me by tonight sometime.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Again, just for like a
I
second.
know, but you also said, like, you don't do it right away.
Well, I meant you don't have to do it as soon as we're done with the podcast, but maybe like after Rampage, 2 minutes, I have the email is already written. I literally just need you to go in and put your name next to whatever descriptions. Or don't. You can skip it if you want. I just wanted you to have a voice in this. Because, so there's an email that I'm constructing, or that I've constructed, that Patrick has to get his 2 cents in on, that is answering a couple Managed Comics questions. It's a full list of kind of what we think people should check out from the new catalog, as well as some brief descriptions, and what we're personally recommending beyond just letting you know about it. There are things that we are personally excited about. Myself, Patrick, and Molly Jane. And then there's a thing at the bottom that I wanted to point out to people, that unlike Pullbox, you don't have to create an account. Because Managed Comics is our subscription management platform, both in-store and online, it's one thing. You already have an account. You just haven't claimed it yet, maybe. A lot of people have. Not everybody has. There's going to be a link in the email that's going out on January 8th that will have a little thing that explains, like, hey, just go here. The email address that you have, that we've always had for you for your subscriptions, is what it's being sent to. Use that to claim your account.
Yeah, it's really important you don't change emails, or if you've always given us your spam email, you know, your I don't want email from you email.
Yeah. Which I think I can internally, maybe, change that email address. I don't 100% know if that's true, so if at all possible, the email that you get your Managed Comics emails at, that's what we have your subscriptions tied to.
No, we can change it because I changed George's.
Oh, okay.
Or I gave George one, he didn't have one.
Okay.
But the point is, if you create an account with a new email address, you don't have an account.
Yeah.
It's not going to tie it to your subscriptions or to your previous purchases or anything like that.
Like, if Patrick used a fake email account called Batrick Prower...
Don't give away my fake email addresses.
Like,
it's Batroc.
And he tried to use that...
Batroc Power.
I was reading Gwenpool. He's great in it.
I'm going to get that email address tonight.
If he used that to kind of create an account, it would have no subscriptions on it because the subscriptions are tied to his actual email address. Which is... So anyway, so we sent out this email, and it goes into some detail, but basically the stuff it goes into is what all the different elements of the my subscriptions, the Managed Comics subscription stuff does.
It's so good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. The key things, to not make this take forever, to know about Managed Comics is that, like, Pullbox was kind of geared around the idea of the current catalog. So if the current catalog for us right now is what's being released in March. So that might be like Thor number 22. So if you were to sign up for Thor in Pullbox, it would start you at Thor 22, even though 21 hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah.
You'd have to go in and tell it, no, I want 21 as well as a special order. The way Managed Comics works is it goes by the final order cutoff date, which is more useful for us as a store.
And tighter of a window.
Right. So it's usually like if you sign up for if you signed up for Thor this week with 20 coming out, your subscription would start with Thor 21 because we probably have not done the final order cutoff for Thor 21.
You're probably doing it
probably this week.
This weekend, yeah.
So it's a little bit more reliable in the sense of, like, when you sign up for something, it's going to start at the point you would want it to start. That said, it does base it off of the final order cutoff. So if you tried to sign up for a book, you know, if I'm trying to think of a number one that's coming out next week.
Legion of Superheroes versus Justice League.
Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes. If you signed up for that today, it would start you with probably number 2 because we've already closed our orders on number 1 already, so it's not going to start your subscription with that. What this is all doing is trying to create a system where we are ordering for you. That's the way subscriptions have always worked, but people haven't maybe realized that. So we are going to be starting in 2022, starting January 1st. We are going to be doing our subscription orders based much more closely on when orders open and close. We would have not a lot of people, but enough people giving us orders for stuff well after we'd already closed our orders with publishers, eating into rack copies and making it so that we couldn't realistically order what we needed for the shelf. we talked about it before, but when someone would add a book to their list, the 3 or 4 days before it came out, they weren't really adding it in a way that we could order it for them. What they were doing was basically getting into the store 5 minutes early on a Wednesday and raiding the shelves.
Yeah.
That's not how we would prefer the subscription service to work. That doesn't really work with our ordering systems. So, yeah, we are going to be a little bit less lenient, maybe, a little more strict.
I was going to suggest proactive. But...
with how we do subscriptions and special orders. There's a note we had in this email from last week where, obviously with subscriptions, sometimes you don't know or you're not aware of it, and we're going to be trying to make people more aware of the tools that they have at their disposal so that they don't have to be surprised when a new book that they would want comes out. But what we're going to do is, if you do want to sign up for a book, and you go into Manage Comics and the orders have already closed on it, if it's a subscription to a series, reach out to us. We do want to make sure that anyone who wants to read a series gets to do so. So, we will go in on our end of the system and add it for you so that you are actually getting with the next issue, even if that next issue's orders have already closed. That said, that offer only applies for subscriptions. If you want to special order a variant cover, or if you want to special order a single issue of a book, you've got to give us those orders by the time FOCs close. After that, we're not taking those orders anymore, because that's the stuff that people would always try and do at the last minute, and it was infuriating. Because we don't order a ton of variant covers and stuff.
Here's a quick jump in. Mm-hmm. Somebody today was looking for, I don't have the issue number, but it was Fantastic Four issue recently where John Romita Jr. did the cover. It was the Penguin incentive cover, remember?
Oh, right.
Hey, the store, if you signed up to Penguin, you get this cover.
That's right, because Mark Brooks did the regular cover.
Yeah. I'm like, what? No, we don't have that.
We don't have the one per store copy that came out several months ago. Back in October, I think. Yeah, so that's the main thing about Managed Comics is the FOC stuff. To be clear, that also will be a factor in how your subscriptions end. If you drop a series, you are dropping it as of the last issue that we already ordered for you. So, again, if Thor 20 came out and you dropped it, great, you're not going to get Thor 21. But if you drop it the week before Thor 21 comes out, probably going to get Thor 21. But you won't get Thor 22 because the orders haven't closed on that. So once again, it's trying to maybe make it a little bit more important for people to be aware of when orders are opening and closing. The good news is, if you go to nearly any item on Managed Comics, it will tell you exactly when the final orders close. There's also a browse by FOC date tab that will show you on the weekends when we do FOCs, which is it's different through the weekend, but generally Friday and Saturday is the day you want to be looking at it to finalize your orders. It'll tell you everything that's orders are closing for the week. So if you want to drop a series, that's the time to do it. If you want to add a series, that's the time to do it. If you want a variant cover, that is 1,000% the time to do it. Other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. This email went out to all of our subscribers, whether they're using Managed Comics or not. Last week, we'll be sending out another one for us tomorrow that has links to all the cool new books for the month that we think people should maybe check out and make sure they add. Other than that, I'm using it a little bit. There's things that maybe usability stuff that I've thought maybe could be corrected that I'll reach out to Brian about.
Sure.
We've had a good response from people so far. There's always going to be edge cases where someone needs something in a way that Managed Comics didn't plan for. And we always pass that stuff along to the developers.
Yeah, the best thing about Managed Comics is that it's fluid.
Yeah, it's. I think in the email that we're sending out, I think I refer to it as an evolving platform, which is the way I like to think about it. It's not like a work in progress. It is getting better all the time as more people use it, and beyond just people using it, it's people providing feedback. We've been providing a ton of feedback, maybe more than he would like, to Brian at Managed Comics, but that's already led to things where it's like him very quickly saying like, yes, we can do that, and yes, we should do that this week. There was a thing that I tossed out to him as a feature request of like, hey, this would help me out, thinking like, they'll get to it in a few weeks. And he's like, probably tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane. That's a world of difference compared to dealing with Pullbox and Comic Suite, where Pullbox had literally no one you could go to. And Managed Comics and Comic Suite, where it was like,
hey, if something is broken, they can maybe help you.
Yeah, and even then, there was stuff that was broken that just never got fixed. We stopped using the platform because it was just falling apart, and more often they were just like, we'll take a backup of your database and send it to the programmer, and it's like, okay, well, that's not going to help me. Managed Comics is not that. Managed Comics is very much something where, there's elements that we are not as pleased with, and it's honestly, I would argue Brian is less pleased with it. One of the questions that I had to answer on the email that's going out is the, hey, why did I get an invoice emailed to me when I came into the store to buy my books?
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point.
That's a thing that Shopify did that Managed Comics, Shopify wasn't doing it 2 months ago, and now Shopify's doing it. So Managed Comics has to figure out a way of like, okay, what's the alternative process that doesn't generate this stupid email? And there's also, and unfortunately I didn't realize this until after we'd sent out last week's email, there's a tab on your subscriptions page that says My Pull Orders, and that's where everything that you subscribe to, when it's received in the store, that's where it goes. Except that's not where it goes right now, because that functionality got kind of stripped out when they did a new version of how subscriptions are received in the store, and now there's kind of nothing there. So like, and now they have to redo it again, and when they redo it, then that stuff will all go back, but like, that's like February. So in the meantime, it's like, it's unfortunate that there's not a way to see what received for you for the week, because the emails don't go out and there's nowhere to look on your page.
Yeah.
So that sort of sucks. And they know that sort of sucks, but they're working on it. It's just, there are other things being worked on as well. So, yeah.
I mean, at least the email functionality is not a thing that was in place for years with us. It's a relatively new thing.
But it's a thing that like, if I was a customer and I had subscriptions and I was getting notifications every Tuesday of like, hey, here's everything we got in for you for the week. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, not only am I not doing that, there's literally nowhere you can check.
Yeah.
Like, that would suck. That would feel like a huge step backwards, and it sort of is. But
it's a temporary step backwards,
Yeah.
because it's all going to be in the My Subscriptions tab on your account. Or in the, it'll be there eventually.
Yeah, once they figure out how to do it again, yeah. But it's a thing where, like, it means for a month you're not going to have access to that, and that sort of sucks. The good news is, it seems like a lot of people are using the system. We've had a lot of really positive feedback from people who are placing their orders through Managed Comics. Some hiccups data issue-wise. When I was going through the new catalog to sort of make a list of, like, here's the good books, there's a bunch of stuff where it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Marvel screwed up all their data for new books, so a lot of the creator data on a lot of new series is wrong.
Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto are writing and drawing every book.
Derek Landy has a lot of high-profile projects. And also, there was stuff that has not been fixed where it's like the Carnage book was one that was like in previews, or it was in the Marvel data as a like, this will be in Marvel previews next month. But as a result, like in Managed Comics, Carnage #1 has no creator data, no solicit information, and no covers for anything. So it's like, that's stuff that could get looked at.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of that is stuff I'm sending to Brian, so hopefully it'll get fixed and you won't ever notice. Yeah.
And again, we're not going to do this every week. This isn't going to be, where are we at with Managed Comics this week?
No.
But we'd promised people the talk about the consumer-facing side of it. So
Yeah.
that's what this was.
Yepper.
Moving on from Managed Comics, this was a new year started.
It did,
so
yeah,
as of
2020.
January 1st, the Christmas cards with the little subscriber gift were all removed from the subscriber boxes. And it was, when we first started counting a couple years ago, we started at 97 subscribers hadn't come in for the month, and then it slowly got down, going back up again, because the number this year, or last year, was 90.
Yeah.
We pulled out 90 Christmas cards with the Challengers air freshener in the cards from subscriber boxes.
Yep. That's not cool.
And we're also...
That means subscribers who did not come in anywhere between, what?
November 30th to January 1st.
Is that when they
minimum.
went in the box? November 30th?
Well, I mean, yeah, December 1st.
Okay. So the entire month of December.
Yeah. That's how we do it every year. Like, I kind of don't like getting people their Christmas cards / Challengers gifts so early in the month before Christmas.
Sure.
But that's how we keep track.
Yeah.
And I guess we don't need to keep track. It's also kind of petty.
Yeah.
But it also shows just how much extra work, because all 8 of us signed those cards.
Sure.
And that's 90 extra cards we didn't sign. That's not an insignificant amount of time to sign cards.
Oh.
And then packaging them with the air freshener and the money we spend on the cards and the air fresheners as well.
Yep, sure.
But on the other hand, you would think, well, you're a subscriber, don't you get a gift anyway? No, if our rules are coming once a month, you don't come in a month, you don't get it. Sorry. We've also been getting other cards. We got a lot of cards at the store yesterday,
Okay.
and a whole bunch of cards here yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, at the
At the
Studiotorium.
studio. Studiotorium. Well,
you.
it was yesterday. It was the studio.
I mean,
Today it's officially the Studiotorium.
but that's what we christened it.
Yeah.
Today's the first recording of
Yeah.
it, so yeah. And one of the things we got, but we got a couple of returns, like Jeremy Bastion's card came back, and as I was going to take the air fresheners out of the cards that came back, so I opened Jeremy Bastion's card, and there's no air freshener, but there's still the plastic wrapper, and then I investigate the envelope to see that on the side, there was a tear, big enough to pull it out, and then take out the air freshener and put the wrapper back in.
Crazy.
So I assume what it is because they have some thickness to them.
Right.
It feels like maybe there's a gift card in this envelope.
Sure.
So the whole side wasn't torn open, just enough for the bottom to be torn. And I would even, if there was no air freshener in it whatsoever and there was a tear, I would assume it was an accident.
Right.
But the air freshener was removed, taken out of the plastic that it was in, and then put back inside the envelope.
It is especially insane to put the plastic wrapper back in.
Yeah.
Because that's like leaving a note saying, I stole this.
Right?
Why would you do that?
I mean, the odds of
So weird.
the air freshener dislodging from the plastic and also
Shooting out
of the envelope
at such velocity.
but the plastic staying inside. It's possible.
It's not possible. That's
I
that's even
wouldn't believe
crazier.
it. That's just, come on. And we were already, because we do things early, we were already talking about next year's subscriber gift, which we mentioned already. And it would also have a little bit more of a thickness, I think.
Potentially,
Yeah. So that could just be, and somebody might say, oh, what if it was just the card getting caught in the machine because of how thick it is? That wouldn't tear it open and pull it out of the wrapper.
No.
It was like the time that we found the condom wrapper from one of Isabella Rotman's books on the floor in the store.
Yeah.
Just the wrapper.
Just the wrapper.
So weird.
I feel like if they'd read that book, they would have understood kind of how the shelf life once you take it out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not great.
Yeah. I think that next week we will start going over some of our top sales.
Okay, cool.
It's weird that we have, and next week on the podcast, as if we recorded already, but we haven't. I also have a piece that I've already recorded my part for that'll go in the next week or two, but it's more about either A, when we don't have a lot of stuff to talk about and have a thing to bring up, and B, it's more historically accurate if we do it later in January.
Okay.
So that'll be coming up at some point. And I have my David Harper off-panel recording a week from tomorrow
Okay.
on the 15th
Got it.
on Karen's birthday. And today would have been my mom's 84th birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Brower.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.